Hey, welcome back to the home of original sports perspective from our couch to yours. This is your host, Jermaine Lockett, your couch rider, Raven. What's happening, folks? I'm glad you are here. Thank you for coming through. And those of you, if it's your first time, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and smack that bell so you know when it's going down. Man, what a weekend. What a weekend of sports. It was insane. And to know that the Bengals are in the championship or into the Super Bowl, excuse me, they just won the championship. I mean, I was going to start off with this I was going to put this at the end, but let's just be honest. The Bengals, they run the AFC right now. It is what it is. The Ravens will find a way next year, but this year, you got to give these Bengals their props. I know it feels wrong, especially when you're talking about AFC North opponents. It feels dirty. You feel filthy knowing that this could be you. And at the beginning of the year, we were laughing at Bengals fans all over because we thought for sure that it was going to be what it is. We thought for sure, like, all right, well, these Browns, they were, they were off-season warriors. They did the thing once again. And then, of course, the Steelers, like, all right, they stay on top, no biggie, whatever. We thought for sure that they would have a small decline because the Browns were off-season warriors. And, of course, the Ravens are supposedly the most consistent, one of the most consistent teams in the league. And it just did not pan out that way. That's crazy. Bless Brian, what's good, man? I appreciate you coming through. Yeah, tell a friend, share this thing in somebody's feed or something so we can get some people in here to have some conversations. But yes, big trust. We are definitely taking over the North. The revenge tour will start, I guess, right after the Super Bowl, because that is when Lamar is getting started. As a reminder, folks, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, because shout out to you, each and every one of you, because of the fact that we got to 930 subs within a week. I don't know what happened, how we took off, but all I can say is, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate each and every subscription, every person that's here riding with your boy. Thank you so much. If you're watching it live, or whether you're not watching it live or just catching it after, I've been feeling some love in the Twitter Voices feeds. Y'all been showing some love in there. And then just simply from the guerrilla marketing on Twitter, thank you for each and every individual sub. Just make sure you continue to come through and watch the content, and tell a friend about it. Let's see. So like I said, we had 930 subs. And then in other news, I want you to check it out. G-Roll, he's still here. We got to get over it, folks. It looks like that's the direction that Harbs is going. He's showing heavy praises on the guy. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all might be a little hot about it, but Harbs is loving him, his best buddy, G-Roll. Oh, man. Bless Ron, if I can get 1,000 this week, that would be phenomenal. I just have that feeling that it would just be great. I think I would probably want to do like a giveaway once we hit that 1,000. Maybe I'll set up a some type of raffle link, and then we can give away like an Amazon gift card or something along those lines once we hit that 1,000. That'd be sweet. Let's keep the party going, though. When it comes, like I said, to G-Roll being still here, people lie, the numbers don't. We're looking at the numbers, and they're still better than last year as far as the passing attack, the overall yardage. Things were better. The schemes were there. The execution, maybe not so much. And, of course, when it comes to execution, that's coaching and as players. When it comes to the execution, you have to coach it well and for it to actually be performed well. And then the players, they have to perform well as well. And then, of course, you just have to have that certain amount of talent. And we just did not have it to pull out those wins. So we did not deserve to be there this year. And that's okay. That's okay. That's why you just go ahead and you get your mulligan, and then you come back stronger next year. Of course, the competition is going to be a little tougher, mainly because the Bengals have about $59 million in cap space, and they're in the Super Bowl. So they can still build a monster with their team, and they got the money to do it. They got the cap room to do it. They have the young quarterback to do it. They have a generational talent wide receiver to do it, also with like two other guys that are decent wide receivers. So you're going to see them making moves in free agency, and sometimes it don't feel fair, especially when you see a team like this young, get to the Super Bowl and still be able to reload and come back and do something even more dangerous this next season because they have the cap room to do it. Kind of jealous of the Bengals right now, I'll be honest with you. Let's see here. As far as going over with the G-Roll situation, back to the numbers. So when you look at the numbers from this past season, I mean, it was definitely an increase in what the Ravens were doing on offense. The points per game was 22.8, and so that's 17th in the league. You got yards per game. That was 378.8, and that is sixth in the league. Sixth in the league. That's why you're not finding an offensive coordinator, because they were sixth in the league in total yards. Were we coming back on some of those? Yes. I'm not here to diss or celebrate Greg Roman. I'm just telling you what the constant is. And the constant is that Giro is here. And Harbs likes him. Harbs wants to make sure that the consistency between him and this guy, Lamar, stays here in Baltimore. And I know it's going to make a lot of people mad, especially when you hear the other news that I'm about to drop on you in a couple of minutes here. But let's get back to these stats here. As far as the pass yards per game, they went from 32nd in the league to 13th with 233. They had 145.8 rush yards, but Harbaugh admitted today that that was mostly Lamar and mostly Huntley running for their lives. Because let's just face it, the players that we had at the running back position were not up to par. I mean, that's just plain and simple. We knew it. You knew it. Everybody knew it, that our quarterbacks were doing the majority of the running, and it was not designed. So they would need to come up with more design runs for all the players that they would need to get involved, whether it be our little fake Deebo Samuel and Devin Duvernay, whether it be for Lamar, whether it be for Dobbins, whether it be for Gus. But this ground game needs to get rolling back to where it was, and it needs to be full contributions from all of the guys who need to do it. Let's see what our comments are right here. Brian says, our two cornerbacks going to be back. Humphrey and Marcus going to be, hopefully we can extend his contract. I fully agree. Definitely need to, they realize, Baltimore realizes the value of a corner now. Like, they're going to pay this man his money. They may extend him, but he going to get his money. They recognize that Peters is a valuable piece of this organization, that Humphrey is a valuable piece of this organization. And I'm sorry, Tavon's staying too, because they are valuable pieces right now. If you have three solid corners and Baltimore picks up a safety worth having, like a Kyle Hamilton, if he happens to slide, then that is a valuable situation that Baltimore is going to be in. It's a pretty good situation as far as the secondary. Now, of course, there's so many changes that are going to happen this offseason. I'm looking forward to seeing them, and hopefully Baltimore can make some cap room by getting rid of Alejandro Villanueva, because honestly, we can figure out a way without him. What's going on, Lawrence? How you doing, man? Good to see you here. Appreciate you coming through. Like I said, if you ain't hit the subscribe button yet, please do hit that subscribe, and go ahead and tell a friend. Get anybody in this room. Go ahead and share this if you could. I'd really appreciate it. I was just talking about Giro and how the numbers, they kind of don't lie. I mean, when you look at it, Roman, people have been dragging him all over the internet about as much as Eli Apple. And Eli kind of made some plays on Sunday. Even though we couldn't stand him, he still made some plays. And Roman has made some definite schemes that have been working. It's just, we didn't have the personnel to execute. And the coaching, when it comes to those positions, they weren't performing to that level. So Roman's going to stick around. And I know it's a huge, huge debate. But it is what it is. Harbaugh wants him. We got to keep him. So anyway, let's something I wanted to bring up today. Huge topic. Purple Patrol. So the Purple Patrol, I'm going to ask you today, whatever. The Purple Patrol, it's on the Twitter Voices. And people hop in a room, and they have, I guess there's two different groups. So there is, I hate to say this, but it feels like Black Ravens Nation or something. I feel like is one side of it. And then Purple Patrol, which is the people who actually support and protect the organization of the Baltimore Ravens. But I think there's a bias to both sides. And I feel like there's us that are caught in the middle of that. And if we sway our opinion one way or the other, we kind of get accused of being a little bit too purple. I know I'm wearing the shirt, but I feel like I'm trying to give a non-biased opinion or an objective based on stats, based on facts, based on things that I can look up and quantify instead of dealing with these things off of emotion. I haven't myself been called Purple Patrol, but I have found myself, to where I am protecting the Baltimore Ravens organization in some of their decisions, such as the Giro one. And I know it's not a popular one. I know a lot of people are not going to rock with me, but y'all got to remember that you go type in Greg Roman and go look at your Twitter feed from 2 years ago. You're going to see those same people that want Greg Roman fired bugging and begging for them to get it to sign Giro to a 2-year extension. You'll see them on there. I've been looking it up recently. Tons of people are on that same kick. But the thing is about being a fan or being a media expert or whatever, it's okay to change your mind. You're allowed to change your perspective. You're allowed to do that. You can't you don't have to just stick with one opinion and ride it all the way out till you die. No, because things happen. Things change. People change. Roman has bad years. Roman has good years. The scheme changes. The coaching staff around changes. Player personnel changes. So why can't our opinions change? That's what I'm getting at right there. As far as the Purple Patrol, look, I believe these writers that have been hired by the Baltimore Ravens staff and ESPN and all these other stuff, I think they have the best interest in mind when it comes to the team, ESPN has the best interest in mind when creating drama. But when it comes to Ravens, but those people who write specifically for the Ravens, they might have a little bit of bias towards the team, but you're starting to see some of the facts in there as well. And then there are a few others who may write a little bit more towards the flavor of the team. And then you have people who writing it down the middle, or actually you have those that are a little bit too left, and they will just completely want the entire organization exploded. And they want to start over from scratch, just keeping Lamar and letting everybody else go. It's going to be hard to build around that. You got to have a balance. Try to find that balance as fans. Try to find that balance as media. If we can all find that balance somewhere in there and try to look at the other person, what they're saying, their perspective, where they're coming from, this will bring a lot of balance to the Ravens flock, because right now we are very unbalanced. A lot of people want Lamar fired. Some people want to hire Huntley and keep him the guy, or keep him as the number one quarterback. Some people want Giro gone. Some people want T. Martin as the dude. Some people want to keep Giro. It's all over the place. We got to show love to each other. As long as we're doing that with the respect, I'm good with it, folks. I'm good with it. All right. So Lawrence says, man, John Harbaugh was mad. Yes. So he had you got to look at it. So Harbs is one of those guys who will get emotional in front of a podium if he gets called out. That's the only thing I do have a problem with, is the fact that certain media people aren't in there to poke and pry at Harbaugh. They're not allowed to poke and pry at Harbaugh. I wish they were, because then you could get maybe I wish there was somebody from Lunchbreak Hot Take, because they have a completely different perspective than the one that protects the Ravens organization. I wish they were sitting in there to ask the questions to John Harbaugh, because then you could actually get the real answers, and he would either provide the facts or he'd get emotional. But it would be something. It would definitely be entertainment TV, because they bring it real. Love that show. It's pretty awesome. If you hadn't subscribed there, then you need to, because they are fired, and it's a lot of fun. So the next thing I was talking about here. So Harbs, like I said, he's protecting people, but he's also throwing certain people under the bus. You saw the title. Who is he throwing under the bus? I'll get to that in just a second. But he is protecting Coach Roman, and he's excited about him being back. And that's okay. Having some enthusiasm, having some optimism about the situation that he's in. He does need to recognize the reality. The reality is we're not winning games. We weren't winning games, and with Lamar out, and that sometimes can go to scheme and coaching, and on the players as well. But he has to figure out how to make these things work when Lamar is not in the game. So he believes that Roman's done some good things. You saw the numbers that I brought up earlier. But as far as throwing players under the bus, I mean, it was bad. It was bad, because I had seen him call out, or coaches really call out position groups like this until what was it? Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was the one actually calling out players by name and stuff. But here is Harbaugh actually dissing players and throwing them under the bus, saying that they're running the wrong routes. Last thing you need is to piss off your wide receivers when you're trying to go into an offseason program, because right now they don't think that they're good enough. And there's a lot of people out there that don't think that our wide receivers are good enough. But honestly, I think there's a lot of promise when it comes to this team and when it comes to these wide receivers. Sure, there's going to be a couple of missing. One of them named Boykin. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the option going forward. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he gets protected he's in a protected posse along with Greg Roman. They're in the witness protection program right now so that nobody can get to him. But I mean, when it comes to numbers, Boykin did not get him last year. I wanted to see this guy explode. Baltimore still needed that tall wide receiver to come out there and make plays. It just was no opportunities. There was no opportunities because when you got Sammy sitting on top of you, when you got Bateman sitting on top, Duvernay getting more action than anything, Prochet getting the cut, and you just in there for blocking, but there's no opportunity there for you to excel. And that's the honest take on that. But when it comes back to bashing players, look, you beat your kids behind doors. It's just straight up. I mean, I ain't promoting beating kids, but I am saying when it comes to bashing your team, you call out those individuals behind doors and you praise them in public. I don't know, like, hey, I'm proud of this. That's the whole key when it comes to the coach speak that they constantly talk about as far as the facade that they put on in front of the media and stuff. Like, don't give them an opportunity to eat you alive when it comes to your players. You protect those wide receivers. They did some great things this year. Rashad Bateman looked great this year. Had he played the entire season, this dude would have had 700 some yards as a third wide receiver. I think that is phenomenal. I think he would have had a pretty solid year as a rookie, and he's going to come out this next year and be even stronger. Those guys, they get their practice on the offseason. I expect Hollywood to come back with some better hands this year. And I know I wasn't going to call him Hollywood. I'm tired of disrespecting him. I'm just going to say, hey, look, you know what? Marquise, until he turned back into Hollywood, we're going to call him Marquise. But Marquise is he's works on stuff during the offseason. I love watching him work out. And hopefully he's able to pull it together this offseason and, get that hands coach and do his thing. So next thing I wanted to move on to was the Ravens losing Bobby Engram. So here he is. He's our tight ends coach. This guy may have had something to do with Mark Andrews' development. And I thought that losing him would be a key piece of Mark Andrews' game. I don't know if that's going to affect it big time because Andrews is just a big-time monster. But I think, when it comes to development of players, Engram did well. He did well because in 2019, he was doing a great job in developing those tight ends. He moved over from the wide receiver coach to the tight ends coach to handle business. And since then, I think the tight ends have shown up. One of them just got a big old massive contract and then had over 1,300 yards. One of the best tight ends in the league, all pro, Andrews. I think that's because of Engram. Now, what are we going to do? I'm not sure. But he did help in some way, develop Andrews. So we have to take a look at that and give him his flowers. What's he going to do in Wisconsin? I don't know, but I'm going to be watching because I want to see what type of offensive coordinator he's going to be because we know what type of position coach he is. He knows how to teach the position. But at the same time, there's a huge transition when you have to come up with a bunch of plays to run an entire offense. And then, of course, if things go wrong, they're coming after you just as much as they go after Giro. So the next thing looks like it's going to be just a ton of changes this offseason because one of the main ones that y'all probably about to burn Baltimore down over is possibly losing T. Martin. Y'all got to think about this. T was the one that y'all wanted to replace Giro. Y'all wanted straight up that T would take over and let him do his thing. But I think this might be a great thing because if T goes to Buffalo to be the offensive coordinator over there, I think he just got an interview or he got requested for an interview. Now, if he gets picked up over there, cool, whatever. That's fine. But I think this is a great opportunity for somebody who's been behind the scenes a little bit. I don't know if y'all didn't get to see much of this guy at all last offseason, but he is the guy who made Devontae Adams what Devontae Adams is. He was teaching him all of his fancy, funky moves that he does to the defensive players, to defensive backs, puts them on skates. I think that most of that was taught by Keith Williams. And Keith Williams also helped develop Tyreek into the freak that he is as well. When you're training these guys and helping them develop through their route running, I think that's phenomenal. I think I'm excited to see this guy come from behind the scenes and take on a bigger role in this Ravens offense. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Let's see. Looks like we got a spammer in here. Don't want that. All right. And then, of course, like I said, more changes continually coming. We have possibly losing Anthony Weaver. So if y'all don't know, Anthony is a former Raven player. And then he's also our defensive line and run game coordinator. Now, the good part is he's the run game coordinator. Baltimore was really good at stopping the run. They were good at stopping the run. However, when it came to the defensive line, we're not getting the pressure. We're not getting the sacks. It's just not getting there like we should. Y'all seen the numbers. We don't get home. We need to. And I think if you have a change at that position, because honestly, if he gets this opportunity to go interview for the Broncos defensive coordinator job and he gets that job, then I think this is a good opportunity to see what type of changes you can make for the better. We might suffer in the ground game for a little bit, but of course, Baltimore prides themselves on stopping the run game. But I want to see Baltimore actually come through and get more sacks, that more pressures that cause more turnovers on the back end. Let's make it happen. And that comes with the change at this particular position. All right. So, like I said, I wasn't going to be here long today because, I got stuff to do. And it's Monday night. And some of y'all probably in the bed. I'm sorry keeping you up so late, but I feel like this conversation is important. If you got questions, please go ahead and chime in on the comments about what you want to make comments. Sure. Go ahead and, just chime in and we can talk about it. But the last thing I want to talk about is what's going to happen differently this offseason for Lamar. We saw the things that he needed to work on. He's got the same QB coach he's had since he's entered the league in Josh Harris. This guy's went on with interviews on the Forward on Sports Talk. He's went on interviews with the Ravens, and I think, he's talked about working on Lamar's deep ball, and we saw an improvement there. However, we did see a regression in his internal clock. Lamar's internal clock, this guy has been going through like progression, sack. 37 sacks on the season before he was injured, and I think that's something he needs to work on is his internal clock. I think the coach was talking about they need to work on his velocity as far as the deep ball last year, and we saw a little bit of that, especially in that Broncos game. He was able to go ahead and dial up the launch codes to get the ball to Marquise Brown at the time. I think he's able to make those deep shots. Just got to do it more consistently. But also, here's the thing. I believe Lamar needs to go back to a little bit of that 2019 form so that he can recognize, hey, okay, one progression, two progression. It's not there. It's time for me to create and make some things happen for myself. If he goes back to that mode, and that's where he's going to start picking up more of those first downs, he's going to be able to play a little bit more safe ball to where he's not getting crashed in the pocket and sacked all the time. It gives the line a little bit more of a breather. We see what happens when you don't have an offensive line giving you that time. You get sacked. Orlando Brown, people were giving him a lot of crap, but I feel like for him to get, Pat Mahomes all the way to the AFC Championship, this guy here, he's not bad. I bet you if we extended him a contract offer, y'all probably wouldn't be too mad if he went back to the right tackle side because we we were hurting folks. McCarr did his job on the right tackle, but I'm talking about the left tackle. If we were to let Alejandro Villanueva go and Stanley's not ready, if Lil Zeus Jr. is out there ready, then I think that's a good opportunity for the Ravens to bring him back. I think, if Baltimore brings him back, guess what? We get draft picks. We get draft picks that we have for him. We keep in those draft picks, and we get this guy back to solidify the right side. That would be nice. But guess what? The price tag would be, I'm not sure because we don't know what Brown's price tag right now is. Just the market for that position is extremely high. But I'm wondering if he'll take right tackle money versus left tackle money, or if the Chiefs will actually sign him back because we just don't know. He's going to be a free agent if they don't sign him to a longer term deal. I know he's looking for that long term payday because most players, when they get that first contract, they want that big money. They want to chase that price tag. So maybe he goes to a team with a lot more cap. Maybe we see him with Cincinnati because, like I said, they got the second highest amount in cap money right now. At least that's what I'm looking at from Spot Track. Could be off because Russell Street Report is a little bit more accurate than the Spot Track, but it is what it is. So Baltimore still got to make some way. They got to make some room. When you less than $10 million in the cap, you got to make those moves. But anyway, back to Lamar. So like I was saying, so he needs to work on his internal clock. He needs to have two progressions in bolts. Like I said, he had 37 sacks. He needs more velocity on his throws consistently. And here's the thing. I need him to be hanging out at gas stations with Rashad Bateman and Rashad Bateman's girl so they can just all have that nice rapport and they can come out this offseason or come out this training camp and blow things up, have that connection that him and Hollywood have, to where Hollywood to where Lamar is able to see Bateman in the same way that he sees Hollywood and sees Andrews. I feel like it's got to happen. They got to let this connection take off, because I feel like that Bateman has an opportunity to be one of the great receivers out there, but you have to target him. You have to throw 50-50 balls up and have to trust him to be able to come down with those. The problem is Lamar throws when guys are already open. He sees it. He doesn't want to throw you open. He wants you to be open before he goes and makes that throw. With Bateman, he is a 50-50 X receiver type of guy. You need to go up there and be aggressive and toss that rock and let him make it happen. We saw it with Huntley. Huntley was he was taking chances and tossing it downfield, trusting that his wide receiver would make the big time play. Am I saying, once again, I am not saying that Huntley is better than Lamar. I'm just saying he tossed a lot more blanket balls, should I say. When I say blank, I'm talking about F. But, I mean, he was just saying, hey, you know what, this here's a Jameis Winston ball. Go make it happen. You know, he was trusting in those wide receivers to bring down those 50-50 balls. And that's the type of X receiver that Rashad Bateman is. You have to trust in your wide receivers to make big plays in big-time games. In the Miami game, you go back and look to it. Those out routes and the deep balls that Lamar was throwing to Bateman, they were working. This is where these big things happen, is when you trust in those type of receivers. Now, of course, you're going to hear during the offseason the entire time is what big time wide receiver that we can bring in to make big things happen. A lot of people are going to be clamoring and gushing at the mouth whenever somebody says Devontae Adams. I'll be honest with you, it's going to take a lot. And I thought about it. I really did, especially after last night. When you look at the formula of another team. So let's just say the formula of the Los Angeles Rams, it works. They didn't have a first-round pick since Jared Goff in 2016. They won't have another first-round pick until 2024. So we got to figure that's so many years of not having first-round picks because they waited and picked up players that were already developed versus using a lottery ticket on a player that not necessarily it's just a chance they may not get there. How many first-round busts have we had? How many players that did not pan out? And then look at how many players that have panned out for the Rams, because of the fact that they went and used those first-round picks and cashed them in and got your players, your decent ballers out there. They picked up superstars and got to a Super Bowl. And they've gotten there twice off this formula. So it makes me think, all right, what can the Ravens trade for soundly and pick up, let's say, a first-round pick type of player that can be that high caliber? Maybe that's something I'll do on my next show, is a full-on breakdown of what makes sense. And maybe something that doesn't even make sense. Maybe we talk about, okay, bringing in Devontae Adams and figuring out how to make make lemons out of make lemon out of lemonade. Excuse me, lemons. What is that? You know what I mean? Like lemonade out of lemons. You have to look at that situation and say, hey, what's it going to take to bring this guy in? I'll use that in a non-sound mindset right now. I'm thinking, hey, just like go for it all. We're talking about just pretty much break the bank, go crazy, go New Orleans Saints style on all 1 year and take a consequence the next year, which could really hurt the organization long term if it doesn't pan out, because you really have to dismantle a team after that. Like if the Rams had a loss the other night, they would have lost Von Miller, they'd have lost Odell Beckham, and then they would have had to try and re-sign a few other players. And I don't know if they had the cap space, because I think they was like -$6 million on that. All right, so in the long run, the short-term decision could hurt you. So these short-term decisions to bolster a roster and go for it all is great. But like I said, if you're wrong, then you're gonna hear it, or you'll probably end up getting fired. And I think EDC is just a very smart general manager, and he's going to make sound decisions for the betterment of the team with players on the first contracts. But if he goes absolutely crazy, figures out a way to get Devontae here, it's not necessarily a need, but it is something that would make this team look even better. To have Brown on one side, Rashad on another, and have Devontae in the slot, this team it definitely would bring it to a whole nother level as far as the offense is concerned. But like I said, this is the first year. I think that the Ravens don't need to go into the draft looking at a wide receiver. But if they were to bring in an all-pro wide receiver, then I would definitely be excited to see Davante Adams in purple. I mean, we already know his wide receiver coach, his trainer, is here, and I think they can maximize the potential of this guy in this offense, making sure Lamar tees in like, hey, look, we either going to Andrews or we're going to Adams, and we're going to take the deep shot to Hollywood over the top. It's going to be lovely. Catching first down Bateman over there as well, making sure he's handling business. It'd be a big-time upgrade from Sammy Watkins. A little costly. Bottom would be in the negative a bit. They'd have to try to figure out a way to make some money with Peters, maybe extend his contract for like 3 years, and then lower that number down a bit to where he's only getting paid maybe like $3 or $4 million this year versus that 15, and figure out, hey, let's put the rest of this money on Davante. Hopefully he's not looking for the premier type contract, takes a discount, tries to get to a championship because he's going to get with a championship type team. Because that's what Harbaugh is, folks. Some of y'all want him fired, but that is a championship caliber type coach. You got us there once before. It's time to go again. This is where the reload happens. Now, like I said, in order to take some of that, in order to do that, a lot of bad decisions got to get made in order to make it this next year. Anyway, I can't hold y'all too much longer. Do me a favor. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit subscribe, and smack that bell so you know when it's going down. Like I said, we're on the way to 1,000. We're at 930. Do me a favor. Hit the like. I got 7 people in the room. Make sure you hit the likes. I need 7 likes up on the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe if you're new here. Smack that bell so you can get those notifications so you know when it's going down. I post all types of crazy times. But if y'all got any comments before I go, I'll stick around for a couple minutes just to hear what's going on. But for the most part, me and Cameroon, we look to get together on Wednesday to do a show. And those are usually a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing everybody come through. I appreciate the support. Y'all been amazing the last couple of weeks. Like I said, so much love just from one little shout out from you, the LBHT, from Engram, and then just y'all just following me on Twitter and stuff. And I really appreciate all the love y'all been giving me. Like, I want y'all to have a great night, sleep tight, and know that everything gonna be all right when it comes to these Ravens, because Harbaugh's got a plan. Trust in the system, trust in the process, and whether you're Purple Nation or whether you're Black Ravens Nation, everything's gonna be all right, folks. Trust. Peace out. Y'all take care.